Okay, so we're at the seventh service, so the final of the 7 services that we've been covering that you can provide and get paid for as a Facebook marketing manager. And this 7th one here is consultancy. So for the last 2 of these service categories, where we've had in the last video teaching and coaching, and now consulting in this one, we are making that transition from being a service provider, meaning we actually do ABC 1, 2, 3 and we get paid for it, to what the late business management authority Peter Drucker once called a knowledge worker. Okay, and when Mr. Drucker was sort of talking about that, what he was saying was, in his opinion, the most valuable asset of a 21st century institution will be its knowledge workers and their productivity. So Brendan Burchard, the creator, founder of Experts Academy, also made a point of saying experts are paid for the value they provide and not the number of hours they work. And what we mean by that is that if you can solve something really, really crucial in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, that is what should set the sort of level about what you're paid, as opposed to saying, well, I've done 8 or 9 hours of work for this person or for this organization, therefore I should be paid that amount. All right, so remember this, experts are paid for the value they provide and not the number of hours that they work. So when we look at service 7 and we're looking at consultancy, once again I go over to Dr. Sharon Livingston, who, when we had our Ask the Experts interview, Sharon said that a consultant provides expert advice professionally. Consultancy in its purest form involves providing advice on a particular topic, project. This can be in written form, like a report or an audit, or it can be via telephone or in person. Okay, so a consultant provides expert advice professionally for money. Okay, so when we start looking at some consultancy case studies and examples, once again I go to my good friend and client Mandy Errington over at Deja Vu Boutique. And with Deja Vu, a number of areas where I've consulted is a discovery contract, and that's just at the beginning, just sitting down and saying, okay, let's almost have a part prescriptive, part diagnostic look at the overall offering. Let's decide some things, let me ask some questions, and you can actually do that and get paid for it. Optimization, so you actually consult in the area of optimization. A fan page audit. A friend migration. This is a really, really common question that you're asked, where someone has possibly started a Facebook page in a personal profile and they want to move all those friends over to their fan page, or they just have a lot of friends and they want to sort of move them over. Another important area and a very popular, fast-growing area of consultancy you can provide is regarding the advertising strategy, where you're actually sitting down and saying, okay, let's put a strategy together for you. The Facebook sales funnel and then the content strategy as well. So here, for example, is an example. Of Deja Vu, and just sort of how I had done it here, and you can see some of the areas that I put down. This was a Word document. Mandy will tell you it was several pages long, okay, but I had a look, and I'm sort of saying, having a look at the timeline, I put it across my feelings, and then I discussed the 12 areas that I would immediately like to sort of address on there. Okay, when we look at this here, this is an area where I would then sort of get the red arrow out and I'll begin to just highlight some examples. So on the right hand side I'm saying the calls to action tip, telling them what I think they should do. So you see Mandy had put a red, white and blue handbag, which was fantastic. I think this was in line with what was going on with the London Olympics at the time, and she put red, white and blue bags now in stock, go Team GB. So I'm sort of saying, well, can we take this a little longer, a little further? Can we provide a call to action to a landing page that actually has a price for these? So this is all part of the consultancy process. And then here we are, we're talking about additional time covers and how you can Google Doodle your time covers. That was what I was talking about at the time. It was before the actual call to action cover facility came up. But this is what you're doing. You're actually sitting down, you've had a look at an offering, and this is why if you look at a lot of the sort of Facebook manager videos that I put together, so often I'm just telling you how to think. if you were looking at somebody's offering and then they said to you, hey, look, what should I do? How should I do this? How you can answer them, how you can indeed add that value. And again, you highlight. I do screenshots here. I'll put some arrows. I'll talk about it and explain. And the other thing about this is that when you've done that and you've provided it to somebody, they then have an option of either doing it themselves, number one. They have an option of sort of just leaving it for a while and let it digest, or get somebody else to do it who could be you as well. But that's the whole idea with consultancy. Provide something, give it to them, and then allow them to sort of make the next qualified decision from there. Here was another bit of consultancy that I did, and it was for cakes next day. And just as the name suggests, you order a cake and you get it the next day. So for some birthdays and all the rest of it, that's great. But also, if you just wanted to do a surprise for someone, you call and the cake is delivered the next day. Did the same sort of thing, put some arrows there. This was all in a Word document that I then sent over, explaining, maybe the call to action, because here was a call to action that went to somebody else's YouTube channel. And I'm sort of saying, well, maybe you want these sort of things to go to your own, but you're just ongoing giving that advice. And some of the areas that when you're sort of saying, oh, I'm a Facebook consultant, some of the areas you can do, like I said, is a timeline discovery project, a Facebook fan page audit, okay, a fan page review, so you just literally just review a page, strategic marketing plan, a content marketing plan, the fan profile, so you can actually say, okay, look, this is, let's go and sort of take a look at the people that you want to address and attract. If you remember before, on the video when we were talking about optimization, we showed that thing called graph search. So in graph search, you could actually go in there and say, okay, well, there are 200,000 people that like cakes, that also like champagne, Moet champagne, or Cristal, even better, So then you can begin to sort of say, okay, here we're profiling your fans so we can learn more about them. Setting up an ad campaign, an advertising audit. So let's say they have already put together an advertising campaign and you take a look at it. You make sure that there's a funnel there. You see if they're split testing, their landing pages, their analytics, and so on and so forth. Sales funnel evaluation, Facebook analytics and insights, advice and ongoing support. Do not underestimate this. Just to be able to be there, and they might have a question and say, hey, listen, can we get on the phone for an hour? I just need some support about this, or could you come in and sort of talk to my team about something like that as well? And I've done both, all right? And crisis management. This is also something that sort of does come up quite a bit. There are haters out there. There are trolls. There are people who are hurting inside, and what they love to do a lot of the time is just go on and sort of pass that hurt to somebody else or to some other organization. Sometimes it might be a business that have maybe dropped the ball on something. I mean, I've done it many times myself, but other times it just might be something else that is perceived to be a crisis. These are all areas that you can consult. So, naturally, you're going to have a lot of questions and you're wondering, well, what do I say? How do I get started? What do I charge people? How do I know what to say? How do I know how to advise them? And so on and so forth. Well, the answer is pretty straightforward. Number one, give yourself permission to be a consultant, okay? Give yourself permission. Let people know that in addition to sort of managing Facebook, you can also consult in Facebook. Number two, sharpen that axe. You must sharpen that axe. And for those of you who have studied the late President Abraham Lincoln, he had that famous saying, which I absolutely love, where he says, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. So basically what he's saying is that he will prepare, he will get ready, he'll make sure that he's armed with the correct tools and knowledge and information in order to carry out a job. And that's what you've got to do as well. And that really sort of boils down to studying and committing to Facebook marketing mastery. Okay, it's a really interesting one. I remember Dan Kennedy once saying that principles never change, absolutely never change. Strategy changes, but it's quite rare. Tactics, they change all the time. Okay, so therefore you've got to study and commit to Facebook marketing mastery, so you can sort of be really, at the top of the tree there when it comes to the knowledge and understanding, and in that way you can communicate the value of your knowledge to clients. And, it really does come from that whole studying thing, It was Brendan who once again said, experts are always students first. So really study this stuff with Facebook marketing. If you visit some of my pages, particularly the Facebook-related ones, you'll see who I rate out there in the big old wide world, And the interesting thing is if you use sort of direct response, marketing principles and strategies, and then you combine that with the social media techniques that are changing and tactics that are changing all the time, that's when you sort of get that nice blend of really knowing what to do on these platforms. And this is what Drayton Bird said. I love this. He says, hardly anybody studies. Few firms or agencies invest properly in training their people. Most do not train at all. People make it all up as they go along. People think they can succeed almost by chance, by being charming, good-looking, knowing the right people. Anything except studying what works and why. I started studying what works and what doesn't even before I got my first advertising job. I have never stopped. Eventually, I was able to sell my own agency for millions. Having talent or knowing the right people were not the reason I was able to do this. Study was. So you've got to study. You must study this. And this will really enable you to be a great teacher, a great coach, and also a great consultant as well. And then what you have to do is you need to create a platform or a stage where you can demonstrate your knowledge and experience one to many. And what I mean by that is that, if you meet somebody at a networking event or at a cocktail party or at a barbecue, that's one person, and they might say to you, oh, what do you do? And you say, well, I'm a Facebook consultant. And they say, oh, really? And you could talk to them, and they'll say, oh, I've always wondered about this and that. And there's no doubt you'll be able to help them. However, when you create a platform or a stage, you can write, you can broadcast, you can publish this information. And instead of just speaking to people in a one-on-one capacity, you can speak one to many. So what I had done was I sort of set up Facebook timeline marketing. That was the sort of original landing page there, and as you can see, it was a sort of started with a six-part video series rather. And here's where you grow your list and monetize. This was the whole thing with the page. As you can see, once again, I would sort of get an email and put them into a funnel. I had the Facebook fan page for timeline marketing as well. So remember, I said get some platforms where you can sort of write, spend some time doing this frequently and consistently, and then of course you can just send people to that, and then all that knowledge and expertise that you have, and also some case studies of projects you're working on, will lend people to begin to look you up, and I'll show you an example of that shortly. Also, LinkedIn, created a LinkedIn group for Facebook timeline marketing, a Twitter feed for Facebook timeline marketing, did something with design, some other platforms. So when I was talking about the different designs you can and should have, I was able to once again push them into the direction of the page. And then I started, putting together some information. This was the Facebook timeline management blueprint. Originally, this was put together on how people could sort of do 1 hour per week of management, so you set an hour aside a week, and that could give you an entire 7 days worth of content. I'm currently tweaking it a little bit. It will be out sort of hopefully around Thanksgiving time, but this will sort of another thing that I just sort of try to do, rather than just say to everybody, oh, I'm a Facebook expert, or I'm a Facebook consultant, or a Facebook teacher and trainer. I just created the platforms that would allow people to see that for themselves, and did the audio program as well. And now, as I said before in a few other videos, I'm currently working on the agency Facebook management blueprint. So, the YouTube channel has been a real sort of important one for me as well. I've got about 280 people that have subscribed on there. I haven't done a whole lot on there for a while now. I'll be getting back into it in a big way with this sort of relaunch of the timeline management blueprint, and also having taken a bit of time to sort of learn and understand what exactly is going on out there. But this was an interesting thing. By these videos, I put an awful lot into this. I really did. I just really wanted to sort of get as much information and just put it up there for free and have the platform. And then I was approached by this very special lady here. She's out in Massachusetts. Her name is Lucy Miles. Lucy manages some Facebook pages out there in the States, and this is what she very kindly sort of said. She said, I was just starting out with FB Timeline for a local business and watched several YouTube vids and then found you. Because of your YouTube videos, which were the most comprehensive and full of info, and I got hooked on them. I watched about 18 of them. They made you so believable, and I learned from them. So do you see what I mean? You know, when you have the platform, and believe me, sometimes it's pretty frustrating, and you worry, and there's some confidence things going on there, where you put up the information, you're thinking, oh, is anyone looking? But what I've also done with these platforms in the past is, anytime somebody has said to me, number one, asked me a question, and said, look, how do you do this, how do you do that? I really got into a habit of filming videos on it so I could send them the links. But secondly, with potential clients sometimes, I would say to them, oh, look, let me manage your pages. Here's my channel so you can understand my philosophy a little bit more. So here's what Lucy's been doing with One Red Sale out there, and she's become a very accomplished Facebook manager, and Bailey's package store in Delhi out there in Massachusetts as well, so she manages them both very, very well. But this was the interesting thing. This is how I was sort of discovered, for want of the better word, okay? Back in early March, while setting up Timeline, she got stuck to a standstill, and she said she picked up an email. So let's just take a little step back, and I don't mean to sort of make this the big sort of, oh, mucha show here, look at me, and blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying is that Lucy says she got stuck. She was working on something, got stuck, and then when she needed something, when she was in a position where she says, help, I was the one that sort of was at top of mind. Why? Because I had a platform. Okay, so you've got to create that platform if indeed you want to sort of make sure that in addition to the services that you're offering, you can also sort of very much be seen as a trusted advisor who can teach, train, coach, and consult. So this is again with the channel. I hope you go over there and sort of watch some of the videos and enjoy them. This one in particular has proved to be quite popular. It was adding PayPal to your Facebook business page, and that was a question I had from someone. Someone actually said, listen, I've got some handbags, how can I sort of how can I sell via my fan page? I went, I looked, I researched, I created a video, and that's how it went. So you know, the frequently asked question that you have sometimes is somebody turning around, you know, you in your capacity as a Facebook marketing manager is, how do I know? How do I know whether to offer the services, the teaching and coaching, or the consultancy? Well, I've got this man to thank for it. His name is Kurt Marley. Kurt is a very, very, very accomplished Facebook ad manager and social media ad manager in general. And he came up with a really, really great saying once that helped me and comforted me. And it's going to be very basic, but what he said is that people rarely do everything all the time. Okay, and what he meant by that is that, you know, whether you're approaching an existing social media manager to help them, or a business, and that there is always help, because people very rarely do everything all the time. But more than that, where Kurt really helped me is via his offering Social Media Ad Genius. And what Kurt said was basically on how you simplify the client options. You say to a client, I can tell you or show you what to do. All right, and that is you being a consultant. You say, I can do it with you. All right, that is you teaching them, or that is the coaching aspect. Or you say, I can do it for you, and those are your done for you services. So if you look at that overall Facebook knowledge that you have, all right, say to somebody, look, I can tell you or show you. I can do it with you, so you know, you sit down with you, your team, your family, or I can do it for you, and that will by and large tell you and show you whether you consult, whether you teach, coach, or whether you provide done for you services. But the beauty of this is that the client will actually tell you which one they want done. So you say, look, you know, do you want me to tell you or show you? Do you want me to do it with you? Have you got time for us to sit down and do this over the next few weeks or months? Or would you just like me to just leave me to it? And that's how you can then begin to say whether you're going to consult, whether you will teach and coach, or whether you will provide done for you services. So the next question that it always moves over to is, what do I charge for my services, whether I'm going to teach or coach or whether I'm going to consult. And this is where we're going to go on to the next video, which is a bonus video. We've got 2 bonus videos for you, and that is what to charge. So keep watching. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you're really getting a lot out of this, but more importantly, as I said a few slides ago, give yourself permission. Tell yourself that, yeah, you know what, I know enough than the next person. I'm going to position myself as that trusted advisor, and it will be a really good thing for you to do as well, is that when you are asked questions, somehow create some form of content and publish it, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's something that you put on the Facebook page, and this will really, really help give you that platform. But now let's move on what exactly you can charge for these services.